I'm going to be going over all the theories I have from each shot that we got in the first look for Stranger Things Season 5 on the date announcement at Tudum, May of 2025. Let's get right into this and not waste any time. This is me in editing. I completely forgot to put this shot in reference, so I'm gonna do it real quick. Karen and Holly, I honestly can't believe I slipped my mind because they're so important. I'm gonna theorize what they are looking at. I think Karen and Holly, I'm just gonna put a funny one out there. They are looking at Ted Wheeler getting something happen to him. Maybe he's even in a vision, maybe it's not real. You know how like in season 3 when Billy crushed Karen's head, but it wasn't real, it was kind of like a visionary thing. I think that's what's probably going to happen, that it's going to be some sort of fake out, but eventually it won't be a fake out and something bad will actually happen to at least one of them. So we are going to start off with my favorite shot from the teaser, just because of how low grounded it felt. It's the only time we ever saw dialogue with one of these shots as well. I'm of course talking about Joyce talking to her son Will, something we don't get too much of, honestly, from the last 2 seasons, so that was really refreshing to see some more confirmation. She told Will that she remembers that night, the night that basically all this happened, all the time, basically November 6th of 1983. The theory I want to make out of this is, where are they? I feel like that's the only one I could really come up with for this, because everything else is just kind of like, you know, yeah, we know that's when he was taken. Obviously, Joyce is going to have a lot of trauma from that, and Joyce is going to always think about that date. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that they're at the WSQK radio station. I say that's a limb because there's a shot later on where we're at the farm set with Joyce, and you can see Will in the background too, and we will get to that. But I'm going to go to the WSQK radio station. It's at night. You can't really see what's around them. They're clearly outside. You can say that much for sure, but probably around the WSQK radio station if I had to take a wild guess. And I'm also kind of going off of that because Will's outfit is not the same from the next shot, which I will talk about right now. You see Joyce wielding her axe, and in the background to her left, you see Will. Next to Will is Erica, very blurry. And to the the right of Joyce, Robin, who is also as blurry as Erica. Very, out of focus. They're not the main focus of that shot. But you can kind of tell that Will's outfit is different. So probably a whole different day, likely a different location. But who knows? I'm going to say WSQK. But to transition from that to this shot, I'm going to predict what the next shot is after this, which is something barging on that barn door that Joyce is clearly ready for with her axe. What is behind that barn door? I'm going to go and say that it's not a new creature from the Upside Down. It will be a creature from the Upside Down if I had to guess, because lights were flickering. It's not like you know how some shows try and do a fake out and like someone just random walks in and it's like a non-threat sort of thing. They kind of did it in season 4. They did it in season 2 a bit as well. This is not the case. Lights are flickering. Just as I almost thought I saw something myself. Anyways, I think that it's going to be a Demogorgon, just a raw Demogorgon. Nothing new, not yet. I think this will be our nice introduction to just a Demogorgon, which we haven't really seen too much throughout the seasons. We saw one in the Russian prison. It definitely won't be as, healthy and filled like that one. That one was actually trained to just be ruthless. Next shot we have, I believe it was of Lucas in the hospital, right next to Max's hospital bed. Obviously still in her coma. Her bones have healed a little bit. She's not, just completely full of cast anymore, which is a really good thing. I think if I'm just make a prediction on like when this is in the season. I feel like that's the best fair point. I'm going to go and say that this is in volume 1. I'm going to go as early as episode 2, I'll say. I'll say episode 2. Not like too early, but early enough, because Max is definitely not waking up from a coma anytime soon. So this will be Ep 2. That's just my personal prediction and theory, I guess, out of that shot. The next one I want to talk about is the shot of Hopper and Elle, which Elle is just screaming, blood's coming out of her nose, she's holding her head like she's in distress. Hopper's there trying to comfort her. I'm not gonna go over what location they're in, which is probably the likely theory I could say. I'm gonna instead just what is making Elle so distressed. And I'm gonna have to wait on this one because it's for a shot that's gonna be later on that we talk about. For the shot of Steve and Dustin, clearly in the upside down, I'm going to theorize where they are. I'm going to say Hawkins' lab. It's kind of hard to tell with the tiling, although there is probably so many places in Hawkins' lab we've never seen. That place is huge. So the only thing that's kind of struggling is, like, why would they be looking up like that? Maybe it's even an outside location. That's why you'd be looking up at the sky a little bit. But who knows? Maybe there's something in there that they're looking at. But I'm just going to say they're in Hawkins' lab because I think we're going to get quite a lot of upside down lab shenanigans going on. This next shot, though, with Elle and Hopper still, I can definitely talk about in the now. It has so many theories around it already. The giant just wall of tendrils and vines, they're clearly in the upside down, and it is Elle and Hopper. I know there's been some theories around, but if you look closely, that is Elle and Hopper. The size difference gives it away. The outfits, if you briefly see them, they give it away. I'm gonna say what's behind this wall. I'll theorize this Dimension X. I feel like it's a pretty fun theory to think about. Obviously, Dimension X is where Vecna got vanished to. He did not get vanished into the upside down, which I feel like some people forget. Elle vanished him to Dimension X. We're gonna have to fill in some gaps into how the upside down got created and some of its lore in season 5, but point of being is that Vecna vanished to Dimension X, not the upside down at first. So maybe behind that wall is where Dimension X lies. Possibly. I think we'll definitely see more of Dimension X in season 5. I'm looking forward to that. Now, this next shot is one of my favorite shots because it shows Mike Wheeler in the forefront, shielding off a bunch of kids from whatever's happening in downtown Hawkins, which, by the way, yeah, I think that's probably downtown Hawkins, maybe in some sort of military base. You see a couple new kids we haven't seen before. And, of course, Joyce in the back. And if you can't tell, she's holding her son, Will. I guess the thing I can predict here is, like, what's happened to Will. I'm going to go out on a limb on this one and say that not anything to do with powers, but something happened to where he fell into a lake of some sort, or he wounded up in some sort of lake, because there has been, like, some pictures. I know Noah Schnapp posted on his story once his hair was wet. Obviously, it was, like, production designing stuff, but I'll show a picture. His hair was just wet, and clearly there was, like, another chair there. And we've heard stuff about Lover's Lake, which is a location in Stranger Things. It's a location in Hawkins, at least. I think it'll have something to do with that, because if you can tell, Mike's hair is also seemingly wet, and none of the other characters have wet hair, but Mike's hair just kind of looks a little different. I think it's because it's a little wet. Why would his hair be wet and the other one's not, unless he maybe jumped into a lake of some sort to save someone? You know, he basically will. So I feel that's a fun theory to make out of that. Next shot, you know, we'll go over, like, the next 3 kind of all in the same breath, because they're all going on to the same thing. It's a bunch of military, and clearly something is trying to push its way out from the beneath the base. You see, like, the red glowing, probably bits of the upside down. I'm not going to theorize that this is Vecna. I'm actually going to theorize that it's going to be a new creature from the upside down. Maybe this is our introduction to a new creature that won't appear before that shot or that scene, whatever. I do think Vecna could still pop up in that same scene. He just won't be, like, the forefront of what pops out there. There'll be new creatures first, and then maybe Vecna makes his appearance. Possibly. But that one also is just a lot of fun theories you can make out of that. And finally, the money shot of this first look was Will screaming to run. Now, if you guys don't know, there was an audio leaked about a year ago of some character saying you need to run, screaming. People have been theorizing, maybe it's Dustin, maybe it's Jonathan. It turned out to be Will Byers, which just shows you more and more Will's gonna probably have his biggest role ever in Stranger Things history in season 5. And I'm looking forward to that too. I've always wanted them to come full circle to him, since his disappearance is what basically, you know, had the domino effect for everything else that happened in this show that we went through as well, and the characters went through. I'm gonna theorize who he's screaming run to. I'm gonna say, I'll do one character. I'm not gonna do a group of characters. I just want to be a little specific on this. I will say he's screaming at his mom to run. And I think it'd be a cool parallel, because in season 1, he did tell her to run through the Christmas lights. If my memory serves me right, maybe it was like Ep 3 or something like that. I think it was Ep 3, yeah. And he told her to run through the lights. He spelled it out, R-U-N. But this time we see a more physical side, obviously, like literally just screaming to run, I could see that being his mom. I think, like I said, I just think that'd be a really fun one if it was Joyce, because then you could have the full-on parallel to season 1. And the Stranger Things accounts, they like to troll. I'll be honest, they do like to troll. But they did post something recently paralleling those two scenes. Maybe Joyce is the one who's screaming and running, and I definitely think that's on the cards for sure. So that's just a quick video going over all my potential theories for all these shots. One more though before we end off. Remember how I said we'll get back to the Elle and Hopper one? I think maybe Elle's in distress because she's overhearing Will screaming to run. You know, she can use her powers like that. She can channel where other people are and see what they're doing. Maybe that's it. Maybe those two are connected. That'd be kind of fun to think about. Let me know what you guys think about all these shots in the comments, because we're probably going to be talking about them for a while until we get some new footage.